Hello, Ian 297. This is Professor Maslow coming to you for our major authors course. It's the night of the Bills game. I'm obviously the home opener. I'm not at the stadium. I'm at home, but I wanted to shoot this. So I don't know the outcome, obviously. None of us do of the game yet. But it's just sort of part of Buffalo's culture here. Perhaps you're still winding down on your discussion boards. I try to have this rhythm of the course where I post the announcements on a Monday for the week ahead, or sometimes the modules will go for several weeks. And then by Sunday nights are when the discussion boards are due. So I'm looking forward to jumping into the first one where you introduce yourself to us and why you took this class. I take a little notes actually on the roster when I read and grade those. Be sure that you're also replying to at least two different classmates each time. I mean, that's our way to get to know one another. If you just simply posted in isolation and didn't read anybody else's, it wouldn't live up to its title as a discussion board. I have never had a problem where I've had to police the language on there. It seems like most students abide by the golden rule of treat others how you would like to be treated on those discussion boards. I've never had a problem with language. And again, bear that in mind that you should be in the habit of replying to two. Same thing, I hope you took the Nobel Prize acceptance speech in stride. That is also the discussion board that I will be grading early this week. And I'm just here today to introduce to you to what lies ahead. We're watching some things on video to bide our time for those books to come in. For those of you who are ordering them from thriftbooks.com, where you certainly can get great prices on used books. Again, I would just order all three of them all at once so you don't risk not having your book. You can also go to an ECC library, a local library. You could order off of Amazon or go to Barnes & Noble. But one last time, next week we will be starting with The Bluest Eye from 1970, her very first novel, her rawest novel, and really my favorite. The second book we'll be going to is Song of Solomon, and that's right here. And then her third that she won the Pulitzer Prize for and Oprah starred in the movie is Beloved. So be sure by next week you've got all three and are ready to roll there, whatever platform you're going to read them on. But for this week, we're predominantly going to be looking at her documentary that came out in 2019, and that was the year that Toni Morrison died, that she left us. She never got to see the pandemic or experience that. It would have been amazing to see what kind of literature she would have written about that period, but we simply don't have it. She was well into her 80s when she passed away. So at the very least, I have a link there that'll get you started with the 2-minute trailer for Toni Morrison, The Pieces I Am, which again came out in 2019. It's roughly 2 hours long. So devote enough time that you're going to actually be able to sit and watch it, absorb it. And the link that I give you links you to various platforms where you might watch it. And there are many different platforms. I think I watched it on HBO Max. If you need to, you could sign up for a 7-day free trial and watch it on HBO Max for free. There's other ways you could rent it on Prime, on Amazon Prime, if your family has that, for $3.99. It looks like on the bottom there you could watch it for $2.99 on Fandango, or maybe you've got a classmate or a relative who's willing to share their password on various platforms. I believe it's also on Apple TV, it's on Hulu, and simply by clicking on my link in the lessons under that the Module 2, Week 2, you'll see all the various platforms and just to ease your way into that. Because I think it's a marvelous, very well done film. And again, I think it's important to see the legend, the genius that is Toni Morrison, and how her canvas started out smaller with 11-year-old Pecola. And it just kept expanded and expanded until this great writer won the Pulitzer Prize and the Nobel Prize for Literature. And I think to get that preview on this video, on this documentary, is amazing. To hear what Oprah has to say about her, to hear Toni herself speak to us, and what she says about the white gaze. And she traces the white gaze back to James Baldwin, whom she calls Jimmy Baldwin. She said that white gaze, that little white man that sits on your shoulder, you have to sort of knock him off. And you don't have to write with that white judgment judging her and her writing. Um, there's just this, gosh, what have I got? I just took so many notes as I was watching it myself. You're going to learn the origin of her name, Toni Morrison. She was born Chloe Wofford. She is in her high school yearbook is Chloe Wofford. She said so many people had trouble pronouncing her name Chloe when they saw it printed on a class list. And then Wofford was her maiden name. When she got married, she became Morrison. She said her saint's name was Anthony. So with her saint's name Anthony, she shortened it to Toni Morrison. And that's how she moved from Chloe Wofford to Toni Morrison. We'll learn about her steel town on the shore of Lake Erie, Lorain, Ohio. I mean, we have a certain connection. We're a steel town on Lake Erie as well, being Buffalo. So you'll hear about that. What Oprah had to say around 29 minutes into the film, she said she reaches into the depths of pain and shows us through pain all the myriad ways we can come to love. That is what she does with some words on the page. She's teaching us all the time. And it's just amazing. She worked in her college library as a student, Toni Morrison did, and just all her beliefs as a writer. She says the novelist's job is to take you to some place you couldn't even imagine. And I thought that is just so powerful too. And her novels certainly transcend race. And it has been said she's not afraid to be Black, but the women are at the center of these epic narratives. And again, I just thought, what better way than this documentary to introduce her to you before you jump into The Bluest Eye. And then certainly take notes as you go along, especially if you have limited access to that documentary. You might use some of the notes that you took, in an MLS style will give credit to this documentary. You might use some of these notes in your midterm project or in your final project. So bear that in mind. So take great notes as you move along in this, and then you will have a discussion board due next Sunday. That responds to some questions on this documentary. And then we will hit the ground running with The Bluest Eye. So I'm all set. That was a quick video. Have a great week ahead, and go Bills. Bye now.